recreated the Taurus pedal patch used by Rush on my SE1 and sampled it with the emulator 4. I'll show how I loop the sample so it uses less RAM memory. In a previous video, I covered looping single cycles. In this one, we'll cover looping samples that have some kind of modulation, whether it be natural or synthetic. The vintage digital machines are capable of incredible sounds if you develop the skills to work with them. I recommend listening to this video with headphones, so you'll be able to hear any ticks at the ends of the loop points. Here's some tips. Listen for a natural occurring cycle in the sample. You can synchronize the loop to that cycle. It could be vibrato or the modulation of a synth. If you find a cycle, listen to the time rate of the cycle. Tap it out like a beat. Then set the time of the sample's loop to that rate. For example, here's a sample I made of a flute. I looped it by synchronizing the loop rate to vibrato. I found that the loop rate of flutes and other wind instruments is usually about 1/4 second. So you can see that here when I go into loop, it's about 1/4 second. But there's still a small tick I can hear in the sample when I play it. So listen carefully. But I can smooth that out with a crossfade. I noticed that Roland and other companies like EMUs use this method, but often made the mistake of looping the sample too early, which makes the sound artificial. For example, here's a sample from EMU. Since the sample is less than a second, it sounds fake. When I sampled the flutist, I let him phrase the notes as he would have normally, and looped the vibrato much later into the sample. Here's a sample I made of the Taurus pedal recreation on my SE1. By the way, the Studio Electronics SE1 was the closest thing you could get to a mini Moog in the 90s when the Moogs weren't being made. Out of curiosity, I just did a web search to see how much these go for on eBay, and I was surprised to see that Roland's actually making a reproduction of this reproduction. It struck me sort of funny. Here's an important tip. When you sample a synth, set the decay for long and the sustain for full. That'll help it when you loop the sample to have an even loop, because it's very difficult to loop the decaying tone. This is probably not the best example, but I can make out a faint modulation in the sound. I think it's from the oscillators being detuned. It's nearly about 1/2 second, so it's sort of like something like this. So I already preset the loop to about 1/2 second. So now I play it, and you can hear the tick. So now I need to adjust this to find a better loop point. So now I need to adjust it so there's no clicks. Alright, that's not bad. Sometimes this process only takes a few minutes, but often it takes a lot longer. Okay, the click's not too bad, so I'll just crossfade it to smooth it out. Okay, here's the sample in the patch. I have the emulator in mono mode with the glide, so it really sounds like a Moog. That's it for this video. Be sure to subscribe for more tips. Take care.